I speak with the microphone? Okay. Hello, hello. Yeah. Okay. So let's try to make this this talk show the most informal as possible. So if you have any question, anything, please don't hesitate. I was not sure what the audience, what you guys are curious about, want to hear about. So basically, we worked on the presentations mostly about basic knowledge about the VR industry in the Middle East, the main aspect to it. But if you have any questions or anything you want to know about my specific experience, don't hesitate at any moment to ask any kind of questions. So I will be happy if I can answer you guys. Like Payal said, I'm into virtual reality. Right, so I'm specialized into the entertainment. That's the things we did. So we did open, indeed, 2 virtual reality gaming centers in Saudi. One in Riyadh and one area called Kafji, which is close to Kuwait. An average center is around 300 square meters, fully dedicated to VR. And we have 13 more in the pipeline with our franchisee in Saudi to come in the next 2 years. That's where we are. Okay, so let's start. So virtual reality, revolutionary Middle East industry with VR. So the rough plan about what I want to talk about is what is a VR technology, the overview of the VR market in the Middle East, then to talk about the VR industry in the Middle East, the key players, and as well the VR application in various sectors. So that's where you will see where VR can be used in the industry and what the future of it. Then how to create a VR experience, or very briefly to give you the key points, how could you create your own VR applications, means VR content. Then about the investment in VR, what kind of support you can get if you are in a high-tech technology, so funding, investment, trends in the VR industry, and the VR hubs and accelerator. And a conclusion about the future outlook of VR in the Middle East. Okay. Anyone has any question so far? No? Okay. So introduction, what is VR technology? VR technology is, first of all, who already use a VR set like Oculus? Okay, good. I'm sure you did. Probably HTC more, but yeah. Anyone even use a headset, a VR headset? I had 3 years ago. 3 years ago, okay. Oculus? Samsung, okay. Samsung, okay. No PlayStation 2, no HTC, no? Okay, great. So VR technology is basically Unreal World where you are completely, we call it immersive and interactive, because whatever movement you're doing, you see it in the virtual world. So that's why we call it interactive. And the fact that you completely immersive, because you're completely in a 360 environment, so you're inside a game. Versus a computer where you play a game in front of you with a screen where you see the background of your house. Here you're completely into the game. So that's what VR is about. So for that we use headset, we use sensor, we use controllers. That's the technology who helps the motion the movement of the players. Overview of the VR. So yeah, so what is VR? So I already talked about that. Yeah, you simulate Unreal environment, you in immersive experience, and you have the interactive technology. The overview of the VR market. So actually, it's a fast-growing market, but that's worldwide. The Middle East is still at the beginning of using VR, so it's not a mature market. It's still completely at the beginning of it. So there is a lot to do with VR. We're a bit late, I would say, in the Middle East with the VR, everything you can do with VR. But it's a gross market of 42% from 2020 to 2027. We estimate a turnover of $80 million in the UAE itself this year using VR. So there's many ways, and you will see from the different industry how VR is making money. Then in the Middle East itself, you count $210 million turnover in VR. VR industry in the Middle East. So the key player of the VR industry and the VR application in various sectors. You will see there's a few video coming with the application of VR, which is more interesting. There's different key player. There's two kinds. There is a key player who create content. So it's mostly the one we will talk because they are creative. They are the one creating application, gaming experience into the VR. So we have a few companies like InnoVenture Education's based in Dubai, and their specialty is to create content for the educations using VR headset. Mostly for school and mostly for school. Then you have Riva Digital. So Riva Digital is also a company based in UAE, and they're all creative and as well create more experience, VR experience, like I would say, a more like Ibn Battuta will go to them and said, I want to do a VR experience talking about the life of Ibn Battuta, this explorer, and they will create content for a full experience, immersive experience, talking about Ibn Battuta using the headset. And then you have Hologrima in KSA, which is specialized, same as Riva Digital, on experience, but as well they do hologram experience as well. So that's three companies which really focus on creating content for the VR market. Now you have a big player as well, which is Aramco. Aramco in Saudi, which is a leader of the oil and gas company, is one of the biggest clients in the VR industry because they buy around I think they buy around for $5 million annually budget on the VR. So they buy the hardware and the software. So what they do, Aramco, anyone has any idea why they invest so much in VR? Yeah, correct. So it's all about training. What they do in Aramco is they need to prevent the safety. So if you have a fire coming, if you have all those devices, you use it, I don't know anything about gas and oil, but all those devices on the platform at sea, you can do it only with VR to create a really immersive experience. You cannot create a fire and try to close it, right? It's too risky. So you use VR to create all this content where there is simulations of accident, of things happening, and how you do as an immersive world to repair it and to follow the procedure for that. So VR is a perfect example of how you can use it to avoid those kind of those accidents. So that's very perfect. So they spend a lot of money buying the headset, buying content company to create all those softwares of security applications only for their own use.
Since you said they can be interactive, may I ask you, the content that it can run on multiple headsets
Okay. Um, when you do a content, you can use it on every headset. The hardware and software is very different. A content can be used by now. I think your question is more about could they be in the same environment in the same time using in the same application?
You can buy the headset from Microsoft, or you can buy from Eith, I mean, whatever brand, no? I'm curious to know if there is a standard so that the same content one time can be used. So suppose I'm creating content.
Okay.
My target ideally should be able to be read on every headset.
Okay.
Like if I make a movie, I can be seen in iOS or in Windows
Correct.
or Android. So, or if there are constraints where if you have Microsoft headset, you can only read this file. If you have another one, only that file.
Correct. So that's a good question. So actually, it's all depend how when they create the content, if they make it applicable. There is one stage, and you will see after in the presentation, there is one stage where you have to choose for what device this content is going to use. So you have a lots of game or experience where it can be used in different device. But it's mean every time the creative has to build it differently for every single device. So
This is a limitation because, like for music, we have MP3, and when you have the music in MP3, any player in the world can read it, no?
correct.
But not for. So basically, the client is bound to his hardware. But suppose his hardware broken, maybe he cannot see his content anymore. Suppose, I don't know, PlayStation go bankrupt, then all your content is gone.
No, the content are in the cloud, so there is no.
It's there, but it
Yeah.
might not be readable with his hardware.
Correct. But now most of the company, when they create a game or an experience, they make sure that it can be used in the most used headset, which is Oculus or HTC Vive Pro 2. And PlayStation is a bit different again, but they make sure to have multiple options. But that requires more work. So there is a big part which is the same, but some part to create this content, they will need to adapt it for each single device. Yeah. Yeah, please.
Knowing a little bit about virtual reality. So one more thing is some companies have different functionality. Some are, for the most part, they're very similar. You have trackers in your hand, which are controllers. You can do things in VR, transport, and do all of that, movements. And then you have the visual aspect. Right? Obviously, there are different headsets, have different resolution, different field of view. For the most part, I would say, at least from a consumer standpoint, 60-70% you can have that version of their content in different
Multi-platform.
Then it's also an intellectual property. So Sony has something, you probably would want to, as an example, wouldn't want to share it with them. So that also plays a part. But I think if you speak
Yeah.
of custom built content, then I believe absolutely that the developer has to account for multiple headsets. And usually their aim is to work with one when you're doing something with large scale like that. You want to put one headset and have a wide scale adoption instead of having multiple.
Because to me, it looks like, if you go back in time, when you have like Max and VHS, you know? But to really succeed is when you reach a standard which is one.
You're absolutely correct. Today, please correct me if I'm wrong. I think remember smartphones came on the mainstream in 2010, 2009.
Yes.
This is the 2005 for virtual reality, in my opinion. It is so early right now. It is so early. Every year you see a lot, or maybe 2006 or 7, whatever. That's not the point. It's very early days. So you're absolutely right. I think there won't be any way it won't be interoperable in different. Once it becomes mainstream. I'm saying 100%. Because your concern is absolutely right. And then I used to work with HTC. The biggest problem was that you were selling a product for $1,500, need a PC, which was worth $2,500 or $3,000. And then you could have those certificates only in that, and then you could have another company launch a portable headset for $500, and you can do most of it there. So it's very hard for the early days content creators and hardware manufacturers to have something going on.
Till the moment, let's say, we consolidate, like is what for you are going to operating system, basically.
It will happen. I think not if, when Apple announces their mixed reality headset or that, suddenly you see the wide adoption of VR, in my opinion. Or not VR only, let's say immersive technologies.
Yeah.
And you really feel that now people question these technologies will suddenly be using on your devices because it works with a smartphone, it works with an AirPod, your home phone. So it's about the right players coming in the ecosystem and
Yes.
yes.
So there's no standardization play like HTML. There was something called VRML. Is that still on?
About, sorry?
For delivering the content, just like you have HTML for the rest of the web. There was a standard called VRML that was coming out,
A standard.
which could pretty much standardize the delivery. But anyway, I'm not an expert.
Well, the VR, let's say, I mean, it's really, it's going very fast on developing. So if you are a bit familiar with VR, now you have what we call a controller. So it's what you take with your hand and you control like that. So the sensor detect the controller. So whatever you press, you understand it. But soon you will not have any sensor. Like the Oculus has doesn't need any sensor. Same, you're working with the cloud, so you don't need in the 5G anymore to have a computer in your back, which is linked to your headset. That is gone already. Soon you will not need any controller. Already Oculus, some of the experience understand and can recognize the hand and the fingers. We will have soon coming as well some special gloves where you will feel the touch. If you touch an apple, there will be a small press on your finger and you will feel you touch the apple. So there is a lot of things coming up in VR and the immersive world. Everything is linked as well with augmented reality, but that's another subject. But lots of things are coming. It's just like I said, we are at the beginning of the VR experience. Where was? Yeah. So VR applications, mostly in the Middle East, but we can say generally. There is four main industry. One is education. I would say education and training. It's not just education. Traveling and tourism. Medical field. Medical field is as well, I would say, mostly the training part. And recreation, which is entertainment. That's the four. Now, the big business on VR is definitely the education and training. I will show you a few examples of, there is a lot. Just for you to understand, in VR, anyone with a team of experts can create their own games and application. Now out there, you have probably thousands of different games in VR, and application and experience, but 90% of them are not done properly, or they have not used for it. So you just have only probably 10% maximum where there is a really need for it and a real interest from the people from it. So I will just show you a few like this. You see what I'm talking about. One thing is like travel in space for the tourism. So let's see just 1 minute of that. I don't know if they sound. They sound coming, guys, with a no? So that we call in VR, we call it 360. Does anyone know what is 360? Yeah, correct, yeah. But the 360 is, in fact, it's an experience, so it's not a game. A 360 means, of course, you can turn 360, but it's like going through a movie, like you watch a movie at home, but it's 360, so you're in the middle of it. But you cannot do anything. There is no interaction. So we call it 360.
So I would like to ask,
Yeah.
honestly, that how something like this can be shot. Say, if
Okay.
it's a normal movie, and you have a camera here, and you're shooting it, and then there are lights and whatever.
Correct.
Is there a special setup?
Yes, totally. So 360 is basically a special camera with a stick or something you fix there, which is a bit higher, and it will really record the 360. So then it's all about you. Let's say you walk in Florence in Italy with your camera, and it will film in 360 everything. Everything from a few, like 1 meter high. Of course, you don't want here because you will not see anything. And that's it. Sorry.
In filming, you have a lot of lights. So where do you hide your lights?
Where you hide your light? Oh, I have no idea where you hide your light. I'm not a filming expert. I cannot tell you.
I'm sure it is not completely 360 because the floor, you're not going under the floor, right? You're just,
Yeah, correct. But a 360 is just about buying the right system, and you put it on. You have Google VR, you have YouTube VR, where you can see all the 360 movies. So if you have a headset like Oculus, you can go to YouTube VR and see any movies or film who's done for 360. Lots of tourism institutions in different countries, they always turn a movie to promote themselves in 360. Yeah. I don't know how to pause it. Sorry, I don't know how to pause that. Oh yeah, here. Yeah, okay, got it. Yeah, here. Yeah.
there have been 2 or 3 experiences with VR. One was years ago when Samsung came up with a phone.
Okay.
And they came up with a device which was nothing but a case.
Yeah.
They said you put it in and it's VR. So I thought it was very simple and it's the next thing. But I don't know, maybe it did not click with people or I don't know what was the thing. I think 3 or 4 years ago.
Yeah, it was the beginning, a complete beginning of VR. It gives you a very, very limited VR experience.
It was quite immersive. So I got really frightened by the dinosaur.
Okay.
And my second experience was around, I think last year, at the Dubai World Trade Center, the exhibition ground. There was a company who had farms in Egypt.
Okay.
They made me wear a VR set. I don't know which set was that. And I was suddenly sitting in one of the Egypt's farms, and there was a SUV which came, it dropped something, it went, I was not in Dubai.
Yeah.
By the end of that 5 minutes, I felt like I went on a holiday and came back.
Correct. Yes, that's a 360.
So this was my second experience, and the third experience was between the first and the second. Maybe 3 years ago, I was in Dubai Mall. And I went to a Jumbo Electronics guy and asked him, what do you have to sell for VR? So what is the content we can play? So he said, sir, it's not porn, but there are a lot of Arabs who are asking for porn in VR. So, you know what I mean? And recently I've heard that there are a lot of companies in California who are developing this content. It is now, being developed in a big way. So is VR going to be the next porn or next gaming? What is it going to be? What is the desire?
You ask me that? I know they develop a lot of these as well in Japan. I have no idea. But it's definitely, I don't think, it's probably a small niche. I don't see as a major things. I don't know. I would say gaming for sure. Gaming have lots of potential. But now, so we were talking about the 360, so that is what we call 360. 360 is really made for tourism. 360 is really made like, for example, you have a, it's all about promoting an area on 360. It's very easy, it's not complicated, and there is no interaction on it. It's just, you have a view of 360, which is very nice, but there is no interaction. So it's like you're inside the movie. Okay, next one. Okay, medical. So I want to show you that because it's another way very useful, and only the VR allowed that. If it plays, maybe next. Ah, yes, correct, correct. So here is, okay, you see it now, you don't see in VR, right? But imagine it's immersive, so you're inside this heart, and you are able to basically take the part with your hand, put it together, go around like 360 wherever you want, zoom in, zoom out, and you're really next to your heart, and the immersive way that's provide you, it's an incredible experience compared to a computer or just like a plastic heart where you dismantle the things. So you have a lot of application and experience in the medical field because there's a real use for it, using a training and learning, for example, the anatomy of each part of your body through VR. It's a, I think it's the projector, no, not working. Yeah. So you have the heart, you have the brain, you have a nice, it's called analogy of your body, and you can literally take every single part of your body and every single layers of your body, pull it out, go in, remove the piece, bring it back. It's absolutely amazing. And that is just for any student, medical student, it's an amazing tool to use. It's something only VR can let you do that. Yeah, I mean, you need a team of developers to create your content, yeah, for sure. But, and it's like I said, unless you're doing really an applications, unless if it's really done in a way where first it looks good, and second is effective on the way you use it, you need to, these 2 points are very important. Otherwise, there's so many applications which are not well done, and finally no one is buying it.
Has the connection been frozen from there? Remove it once and put it.
Remove and put it back?
Yeah. One of those.
Ah, yeah, great, thanks. So we were here. Right here, there's nothing. Yeah, yeah, go ahead.
Just hold it.
Careful with the cable here. Yeah, I think it will go. I think it's HDMI, right? It's not
Yes,
so
it's
good.
HDMI.
Yeah.
Just try to not responsive.
Okay.
We can start again if you want the presentation of the class.
You have enough charge, right? Or not?
No, this is not mine. Maybe start again.
Still on the screen.
Yes. So, it was here. It was here now.
Okay, yeah, start again.
On this one.
I have disconnected the charger.
Yeah, it's fully charged. Okay. Can go down slide. Yeah, made it 13. It's okay. Yeah. Yeah. Great. Okay, so we were talking about the medical field. Oh, that is a great use, definitely a great use for any hospital, any clinic to use this for the student, this kind of product. I believe everyone at some stage will have this system in any medical field. So yeah, like I said, here you see it like it's a computer, but basically you really go in and take every part and put it back with your hand.
Yes, it happened at the same point last time.
I have a question. You're taking it with your hand and you're fixing it, right?
Correct.
But can you feel it in your hand? Or you're just assuming it to...
Like we said earlier, you don't feel it with your hand, but in the close future, you will feel it with your hand. So that is another way of using VR. It's literally a simulations of surgery. And you have a few applications doing that, which is absolutely amazing. And it's very precise.
Look at the side of the patient's neck to verify.
Excellent. You can now see the bone and fracture clearly. Place the forceps back on the tray. Use the screwdriver to drive the neck for a screw. Pull the trigger when you have the screwdriver in position. Okay. Place the screwdriver on the instrument tray. That was a very successful operation. Nicely done.
So as you can see, that's a perfect example of some of the applications you can do in medical field. It's not just to learn, but really doing simulation and learn how to do different surgery. So here we have surgery that you see, but you have for the knee, you have for every part of your body, for heart surgery. So it's perfect for students to learn how to do it. Other way, the only other way would have to get a dead body to experiencing it. So that's, I think, it's definitely the future, the medical field for VR. Now you have as well in defense an option which is also can be used a lot. Like this is an American system. So it's using Oculus
The Eith
plus their
system is a
own
highly
device.
free roam, fully immersive VR system that's designed to deliver training outcomes specifically in high-risk scenarios such as law enforcement and military areas. Our system puts people into a fully immersive, scenario-based training environment where they're able to move freely and naturally and achieve all the learning outcomes that we'd expect from them in a very realistic environment.
I didn't expect it to be as immersive as it was. I didn't expect to have as much interaction with my comrades during the scenario as I did. I very quickly forgot that I was wearing a headset. It was just like I was actually in the scenario.
The Eith system uses wireless tracking technology that's completely free roam. So we can set this up in any environment, turning any venue into a training venue, giving absolute flexibility to training schedules.
You save lots of time and resources.
With the Eith system, we want soldiers to be able to train as they fight. So there's no complicated buttons to use, there's no controllers. We use real field weapons to engage with the scenarios, weapons that you will recognise, and we can build virtually any weapon into the Eith platform.
The weapon I found was very realistic. It gave me realistic feedback when I was operating it. It felt like a weapon would function. So that added that realism in training.
We're able to put users into highly adaptive scenarios that can change up as they react to things that happen to them in the scenario. So if they're doing particularly well, we can challenge them more. The Eith system allows you to remove the approximation from combat training with a full three-dimensional and first-person replay. So after-action reviews become really simple, really effective, and we can show the outcomes of any scenario and all the decision-making from the system itself. The Eith system is a fantastic innovation platform. We have the ability to integrate with some brilliant innovative technologies. We can use haptic suits. We have the ability to use moving platforms to simulate a lot of opportunities to work with the best technologies out there.
So the beauty of it is it can be easily implemented anywhere. You don't need furniture, you don't need anything. You just need the hardware, which doesn't take space. The system is already there in the cloud. So it's very effective, and you can set the entire room, obviously within a day, and have all this technology available for soldier. So that's another great use of VR. And there's another one I want to show you. This one is false. It's a 1 minute video.
Why are you on my property? 134 be advised. This is my property! Move away! No!
So actually, this one is using by in USA for the police to train about how to use a taser. So it's been developed especially for them. So yeah, they're going through this training because at the end they need to tase someone. So no one want to be tased on the training. So they use a simulation for that. And yes, I mean the government is using it in the police force for training. They all have a taser, so that's what they're using. It's not a game, it's a real training going with it. So that is really efficient and the way what I show you, for example, that the future of VR and where the development of VR can be. And it's going to grow. And you have entertainment, our concept that we put, which is the virtual center. So I'll show you this one video. Okay. Yeah. So entertainment, of course, is a big part of the use of the VR virtual reality. The beauty of it is to mix multiplayer. So it means in the same environment, you can have up to 12 or 20 players using the same environment at the same time into the same game, playing against each other. So that's, I think it's incredible because you're in an immersive world. Like the last game you see, it's called After Ash. No, it's not After Ash, sorry. It's called, oh, no, I'm confused with another game. Hyperdash, sorry. Hyperdash, like you have a team of 6 people who fight another 6 people together. It's a shooting arena game. And basically they're kind of robot. So any movement you do, they're doing exactly the same at the same time. And basically it's 12 of you. So it creates, and at the same time, you use an audio system where you speak only with your team member. So the guys from your team. And it's the same for the other team of 6. And in an immersive world, so you have that as an e-sport on the computer. But when you have on an immersive world, it's a complete different dimension. It's absolutely amazing. So that's basically what mostly virtual center, our concept is. It's to create this social gaming experience between a crowd of friends who are going there to enjoy games and challenging each other. So how to create a VR experience, it's what we talked before. So first you define the concept. So if you want to create your own application or your own games, and you have your own team, first, of course, you have to be clear about what concept, what content do you want. Then you choose a platform. So a platform means that's the moment where you decide, do I want to create this game for PlayStation 2? Do I want to create for HTC for Windows, sorry? Yes, correct. So that's where you choose on which platform. So it can be multiple platform, it's up to you. Then you develop the content, of course. When we say develop the content, it's the 3D. It's the 3D content with the animations and all the character with the background and everything. So that you develop a team who create that. Then you choose a game engine. So a game engine means from your game that you create, all the content, you need to use a VR engine. So you have is Unreal. So it's allowed you to create your game in the VR environment. So you have to follow this step, and then only the game is created, then you test, and of course when you test, you see lots of bugs, lots of small things where you refine you experience or your concept. And then of course you publish and distribute it. And after that, it's very important to always provide an update to what you create. So that's the 7 step to build an experience or a game or an application in VR. Investment in VR, funding investment trend. So Saudi are actually the one investing the most. It's PIF, which is a public investment fund in Saudi. They invest just this year $500 million in supporting startup for VR and augmented reality. So they have massive amount to spend to push startup to create content over there. There is also from investment from Dubai Silicon Oasis Authority, who also push on supporting companies who create content as well. You have as well Mohammed Ben Rashid Innovation Fund, who support applications, but in VR related to interior design. Interior design, for example, if you know any VR with interior design, is basically you put your headset and you can redesign your kitchen, saying that I want the wallpaper to be black. So basically you can basically take a picture of your kitchen, then you put in the VR and you can completely change the furniture and everything. So you're in complete immersive reality inside your kitchen all around, and you can touch and change every panton, every furniture, everything, to see how it would look like if you change with different things. Financial support. It's purely financial, that's it. I don't have the detail exactly how it works, but it's financial support. Then it's Saudi Arabia General Entertainment Authority, who's supporting as well entrepreneur and startup for gaming content.
Is it for local or it is for anybody? Is it for the Saudi nationals or it is for?
I think it's for any companies whose, I don't have the detail, I'm sure they have restriction, maybe they ask you to have some Emirati in your team, I would probably be sure of that, but it's any company, any startup who built their trade license in Dubai Silicon Oasis authorities. So depending of your license, you can request for, and your activities, you can request for a fund or not. Then you have VR hubs and accelerators, like exactly in 5, where we are now. You have also Dubai Internet City, who's promoting the growth of VR as well, and Dubai Future Accelerator, which is a public support. So Dubai Future Accelerator, it's government support who helps startup who are creating content, but this content is to support the public sector. So how could we use VR to integrate to the public sector? It can be Etisalat, it can be anything, to promote, to develop technology which will help the public sector. So the government support those companies creating content for the public sector. And yeah, and in conclusion, yes, like I said, there is a great potential for growth of the future of VR, definitely in the Middle East. Like I say, it's a new market, it's not mature. There's a lot to do, there's lots of development coming in VR. It's going to continue to the technology to develop a lot for more. The price is going to be reduced with far more possibility that we have now. So yeah, there is a great future in VR. Now VR will be also, there will be augmented reality, which is also a great future to come. But we're still in VR stage. The augmented reality, it's still at the complete beginning. It's, I would say, very complex, and it takes some time, but that's also the future for sure. Yes, the government and business support are there for startup company developing VR. And on the daily life, you will see more and more this need of use of VR on the years to come, from VR and also augmented reality. That's a fact. It can be 1 year, it can be even 10 years from now. More and more the time will go, and more we'll have a real, more efficient use to use on our daily routine, VR and augmented reality. So yeah, So I finished with my presentation. Please, guys, if you have any question.
It's very interesting, first of all, and thank you for enlightening us. Now I am putting myself, like I put an headset on, I have the gloves, and suppose I want to visit a famous place as a tourist, so I can go to China or France without being there. I'm wondering, I would like to walk in that place, but of course my room is limited. So exists some sort of treadmill, let's say, and by moving I penetrate, I don't know, in the Great Wall of China, but staying in the same place. Because without that, how can I go?
Okay, so there is different technology for that. So there is actually a treadmill which is existing, but it's early stage. So whatever is available in the market, it's not accurate yet, and it's made for just few specific games only. But the technology exists, but it will be more developed. Now what you have what we call free roaming. So you need the space, the real space. So every time you do a step, it's really one step in the virtual world. So that you will need a lot of space. What you say, if you have a very limited space, could you still visit a different place?
Because I might have even a room like this, very large, no? But if I have to simulate that I am hiking the Mount Everest,
Correct.
I might need to walk for hours, no? So after hours, I will be bored of it, no? So I need to walk on the same place, but with the impression to continue. Otherwise, if I spend, how I can move forward with business, reality?
I give you an example if it's okay with you.
Yeah, go ahead.
I saw once in a conference in the CES, there was a game about, there was one video that shows about shooting. That was more like training, but there was one for gaming. And you like there was kind of fighting, like chasing each other. And I saw a treadmill which was circular.
Yes.
And it rotates. And it has steps. So you don't go beyond that point. It's rotating, but you could run.
Exactly. Something like
That was
that.
it. But climbing, I don't know. It's complicated. I think Mount Everest, but walking, you're right. But I want to say something, and obviously, Vivek knows it better than I do. That when you are in VR, you start perceiving things. So it's not about physically moving, When you start getting to the VR world, and you start getting used to the mechanics of movement in VR, you forget that you're actually physically not moving.
But how you progress in the scene? No? You are in a virtual scene. How you move forward?
You transport using controllers. So something happens, I play a game, and I do a lot of sword fighting. Like you jump and you move around. But I don't actually physically do that much. I just think that little bit, most cases in areas. When I take it off, I actually start walking faster. Because if I do it in 2 hours or something, which is crazy. I do it sometimes, and then I take it off and I feel like, oh my god, I'm about to fast or something, because it plays so virtual reality is a brilliant technology, which actually also makes you, exactly.
I think if you experience how the gaming that they are right now, even the traditional gaming, cars and driving, you see the scene moving by, you're with those. Actually, Xbox, you play games on it, it's just the perception of movement. It doesn't necessarily always have to be physical movement. But yes, you're right, there is tech that allows you to get that physical movement feeling as well. The Xbox will probably the first in that direction. You move your hands, you're punching, you're kicking. But if you actually physically want to move, yes, I've seen contraptions which you kind of suspended in space. And you're moving and you're running. It's just that you're suspended in space.
But that's actually a basic, treadmill with an incline and 360 degree, you can go everywhere, run everywhere. Then can also, because if you run in the gym, you have a setting where you can make it more difficult to, go up and down.
I personally feel physical movement and virtual reality headset, the way they are trained, it's very hard to do it. Not just from a development standpoint, from an experience standpoint, it's very hard to feel normal. It gets you either very busy or it makes you, correct me if I'm wrong, right? It's not really, I don't know, I feel feel the beauty of virtual reality is that you're doing things which you don't do in real life. So there is a Mount Everest simulation done by a very guy who climbed Mount Everest using a 360 camera. And he stitched with CGI and made it very nice. You actually go through the whole journey of Mount Everest, and it's so funny when you start reaching the little height, you actually start feeling scared. You start feeling bored. And it's also not bored, right? These are the kind of simulations, so that's the beauty of VR, and seeing is believing together. So you see that, and it's the artist who created so well that you start feeling all other sensations. Yes, the basic movement, but I don't think today, with the headsets the way they are, you can just walk around and then you're not simulating.
The sound also play a part. The sound is also designed in a certain way that you feel.
Sound impact, the controllers have haptics. So when you start punching things, it vibrates a little bit. You start feeling, so it's not the real feeling of that happening. Like Eric mentioned, there's some gloves coming out that will actually make you feel heat, cold, fire.
And maybe the fun or the future of everything is that you are not making any efforts, but you are feeling the joy of moving around. It is almost like climbing the Mount Everest on a Segway.
But you have a game called The Climb, actually, the second version now, called The Climb 2. So the whole game is you literally climbing. So when you see players, they literally like this, climbing, but to climb, you still have to press on the controller to grab. So every time you grab, you understand that you grab, so you're going. So you spend your time doing that, basically. Yeah, you're looking down. So you have the way, it's the way the game is done as well with existing technology. But now they are working on to answer actually what you say about walking long distance. You have like shoes with special sensor, which will allow you to within 3 square meters to really walk, to really feel like you're walking the long distance. Yeah, that.
It's more of a mental stimulation than a physical stimulation.
Yeah, correct. And Ramit said you have the vibration, so it's just the vibrations. But for many things, because your brain is stimulated that you do this action, like taking a gun or shooting in a gun, you really feel the weight of the gun when you're shooting and it's vibrate like a real gun, which is not. It's just a small vibration of the controller. But because of your mind, see this big gun shooting, you really feel you weight the gun, which, yeah. It's a mindset as well. It's quite impressive. But now they develop more and more the headset, so it has motion sickness more and more to depend the game you're playing. But most of the game now, I mean, the good game, I would say, or the good experience, the motion sickness is they try to reduce it as much as you can. For example, there is one game which is very good, but I never put in my center. It's a boxing game called Creed, because this game is really, really good. But after 2 minutes of playing, the players are all sweating like crazy because they're really boxing, they're really pushing, they're really turning around, and they're exhausted after 2 minutes. Like they're really training hard. And I remove it because everyone is exhausted after 2 minutes playing this game. Like suddenly they never boxed in their life, and suddenly they're punching like crazy for 2 minutes non-stop everywhere around. And it's a really well executed game, but this is a game, it's so realistic that I don't put it because I don't want people, kids or teenagers exhausted after 2 minutes. Yeah. Yeah.
I know it's reached later, we've said so many times, but where does VR and metaverse merge?
Okay, so that's
What's happening in that space?
yeah, good. Yeah. Bas.
I just want to say one thing that I've come from the AI industry. I think right now a lot of people don't understand here, but it's moments like these which will be played back, I think, in the future, when you realize this is how we are again. So I'm very thankful that you do this.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you, Amit.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you. It was very nice meeting you. So to answer you, the metaverse, yeah, it's a big question, and I don't want to make you stay too long. The metaverse, which is created by Mark Zuckerberg from Facebook, which now become Meta, to answer very fast, I would say, is too early of what he's doing. It was too early when he started pushing the metaverse. He wanted to create like a hub of thousands of small startup company, tech company, working with him, creating this metaverse, which for me already last year, I said it's too early. The technology is not ready. The people are not ready to invest in it. The metaverse, what it is, it's just an application now, one single experience, which is not as good as any game available, for example, in my centers. That's the metaverse. But the metaverse is there to expand, to create this universe, to expand more and more and more. Actually, the metaverse is, it's not one metaverse, it's like 5 or 6 per industry. But we're not there yet. We're not ready. We don't have the resources. We don't have the technology to create what the vision of Mark Zuckerberg creating the metaverse. So now we arrive to a stage where he invests so much on the metaverse. He put so many of his employees on it that now he's going backwards, and he say, no, my main investment will be on artificial intelligence now and not the metaverse. And I will put more resources and effort into it. Because I think he realized that he was too ambitious and it's too early to create this metaverse. We're not ready for it. We're not ready technically for it.
Imagine, but I'm really having to use my mind to imagine what's going on. Sitting here in Dubai, what's the best way to start people guys this? Actually experience this for oneself.
Experience what?
VR, and what's happening in VR. You know, what kind of applications, what kind of tech is available, how do you do that? Where is it easily accessible?
But it's accessible in company who create content. Now it's specifically content for a client who requests for it. So to answer you, the easiest way to experience VR is to buy online the Oculus. You go to Amazon, you buy an Oculus for 1,300 dirham, I think. And then you have to pay for the games, of course, but the games are the experience. But already when you buy the Oculus, it gives you access to Google VR and YouTube VR, where you can experience already all the tourism 360. So you can be in the swimming with a dolphin, and you can be on the beach in the Bahamas, or you are visiting any capital in the world, have a 360 VR. So already it gives you all this experience in 360. Sorry? When you buy the device. Yeah, you need a device, right, for VR. Correct. Correct. Like I have an Oculus and I don't use it anymore. So I use it at the beginning. It's fun. It's for someone who never tried the VR. I tried the first time on Oculus. It's nice. It's amazing experience because it's new, but you get used to it, and finally you don't feel like it. That's why personally I create on the gaming industry this virtual center, because the difference it creates this bond between your friends to achieve the same target in the game. So the fact that you're not alone, you're doing with your friends, it creates this interest. If you are alone at home and you're doing this 360, then you buy a few games, you play, you get bored after some time because you're alone. And for me, that's why the metaverse is great if it exists in the future. because it's all about sociable and be with a community or be with your friend in the same universe, having the same goal on a game or experience or whatever you want. And that is what I say, it's efficient. So you really want to do it again, to go to this virtual world, because you have your friends around and you have all these things that you can achieve. When you're alone, no one is seeing you, so after some time you get bored with it. I don't know if I answer.
Because of the graphics, I mean, the plugins which the gaming industry has and the budgets which the gaming industry has,
It's not about the graphic. They want to create a world, a massive world through the metaverse. So basically now, if you want, could I say, they want to create a world which will be this room, let's say. Right now, the metaverse is like a piece, right? But Mark Gutenberg want to create this whole room as a metaverse, and it just has a piece. So to create this whole room, even with his own 10,000 employees, he cannot do it. He still needs all the startup in the world to work together with him to create a part of this world. And no one is ready to do it right now. So it's very difficult to develop that. And it's not just creating the world, when you're creating the world, you have still to use the same coding, the same system to be allowed to integrate that to the metaverse. So it's making it very, very, very complicated and challenging. Now, when we create a game, it's like you create a game, it's like a piece, but to create a whole room like that, it's years of work, and everyone has to work together. It's massive.
You're saying the graphics are the problem, or the artificial intelligence technology is the problem, or the technology is the problem, or the graphics are the problem? What is the main problem?
But it's not the graphic. It's right now in the metaverse. First, it's not interesting. So what you do is you are in a you create your avatar and you're just walking around. There is no target. There is no. You will see one shop with a brand Cartier. Okay, great. At the end, you still prefer to go realistically to Mall of Emirates and see Cartier if you want to buy a watch Cartier, for example. Why would you do that in the metaverse? There's no real need or use for it, and they invest all their resources into it because it doesn't bring them anything. So I think economically, it's not there yet, and the consumer who will be with the avatar in the metaverse, they get bored. They don't see anything interesting to do there now.
I would rather go physically to Mall of Emirates and hang out with them rather to go in metaverse. Even if the Mall of Emirates is present in metaverse, it is good to do it once, but it is like you are bored with your thing and you throw it away.
Yeah, but
Conceptually,
correct.
there is a problem.
Yes, and it's not ready. If now you tell me I'm going to Mall of the Emirates and I'm going to meet Batman, and together from the Mall of Emirates, I will climb a 500-meter wall, and Spider-Man will be next to me when I do it, maybe I go to the metaverse. But